Hello and welcome to Crossing Bridges. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today is Mr. Alan Shay, author, entrepreneur, aesthetic leader, and highly respected in Pasadena for all the things that he's done to improve human relations in our city. Today, you will have an opportunity to learn about Mr. Shay, about his point of view, philosophy about youth, future, and what we need to do to expand further in Pasadena to bring all our citizens together and unite so we have a Pasadena that is suited not for selected individual, but for all of us. At this time, it's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Shay to my show. Alan, good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Nate.
It's a pleasure to have you. I've had the pleasure of knowing you for a number of years, and I'm very impressed how you have expanded and moving on in life in a very dynamic way. Not only you have written a number of books, but also very keen as far as how children of today need to expand in a very proper manner in order to succeed in life. So let's talk first of all a little bit about you and background, because I want the viewing audience to get to know Alan Shay as I know. So can you bring us up just briefly about your background, where you were born, and how you were led to come and live in Pasadena?
Well, thank you. Thank you, Pasadena viewers, for this opportunity. My background started at an extremely humble beginning. I'm actually from Jackson, Mississippi, and my mom moved us here to the city of Pasadena on August 5th, 1963.
Okay.
And that was, for those of you who don't know, was the height of the civil rights movement. We actually lived not too far from Medgar Evers, and he was actually killed June of 63.
That's true, right.
So as you can see all the dynamic that was going on, and I was fortunate enough to be embraced with the civil rights struggle, and coming from Mississippi at that time to Pasadena, it was quite a culture shock. And not only was it a culture shock from a geographical perspective, but it was also a dynamic shift because at the time my mom had 10 kids.
Oh my God.
Right, as a single parent, and then we ultimately was brought up with 12. So there were 6 boys and 6 girls. And so you can see I grew up in a very large village, and I love it. And I really love the city of Pasadena because of that particular time, and I can really grasp the importance of fundamental development. And I try and encourage others to see that at the earliest point of growth. Again, I was fortunate because all of my siblings were stair steps. We're like 2 years apart.
I see.
So for me, it was easy to see the choices that my older brothers and sisters made, that I had to be very cautious of my future by seeing them. Mm-hmm. So it really lent itself to giving me a good perspective on life. And then my mother, who's now deceased, was a very profound woman. She had such a strong faith in God and sense of purpose. I mean, I never saw my mother even curse growing up. She ultimately created her own wealth, died a very financially independent woman. She got her own business, and she only had a 6th grade education. Wow. So my beginnings was truly humbled, and the Pasadena experience just was such a blessing because when I do my public speaking, as you do, and I try and go out and motivate young people, the analogy that I use Pasadena with is that of the Wizard of Oz. You know, you follow the yellow brick road and you'll find the Emerald City. Well, truly, in reality, the Emerald City in the United States is called Pasadena.
Right. That's
and if you stay on that yellow brick road, especially here in Pasadena, you will be able to seize all of the opportunities and leverage against the resources that we have here. I mean, unbelievable resources. And I, again, feel that I was one of the young people at the time that harnessed those resources by making sure that I respected my neighbors, making sure that I was very active in sports, making sure that I was there as a servant in my community. I was always involved with nonprofit organization, coaching, anything that would help to elevate my community, because not only am I feeding future generations, but I'm also being reinforced. And that plays such a vital role in your development. And all of that came right in this wonderful community. And so by understanding and having that vested interest, it only harnessed a outpour as a man for me to make sure that we continue to try and foster good relationships, foster a sense of purpose in young people, because if I am one of the beneficiaries of what this community has brought forth, surely all these other young people can benefit a lot more than what I have done with today's technology and today's awareness. I mean, when I grew up, we didn't have such things as mentors. That word was never used.
Right.
You know, we had community. I had Mr. Jones down the street, or Mr. Johnson up the street, or Mr. Smith across the street, and if I got out of line, you know, they would be the first layer of reinforcement to make sure I get back on the path. So those were the things that kept us aligned, so that we didn't have to worry about, you know, referring our kids to someone specific, a mentor, a coach, any of those things. They weren't things that were a part of it. But with the evolution of today's challenges, we have to kind of customize what's needed for today's generation. And I think that with understanding our past, we can better prepare for the future. And to me, Nate, it's essential that any young person knows their past. Not only their family lineage, because it's essential. If you don't know who your dad was, Nate, or your grandfather, what impact do you think that's going to have on your sense of purpose as a man? It's going to have some impact. And that's why the more we know, or at some point in our life we take the efforts to delve into what that meant and what that was about and how we came about, then the better quality of life we can have in the future.
Sure.
And so what I try and do is I try and make sure, for me first, that I have extended my research with me. And that's through my family, through the history here in Pasadena, and I love our rich history. And then, of course, throughout the country, how important it is for we as people to be connected up through our history, irrespective of our ethnicity, color, but just our history. Because without the connection of our history, none of us would be here.
That's true. Well, first of all, God bless your mom in heaven. I've been a firm believer that we are the product of our home environment.
Absolutely.
And when you truly have parents, in your case, your dear mom, who was very instrumental, the strength of the family, kept all of you together, and to raise 12 children at that time was really a miracle.
Yes.
And you got to give a lot of credit to her. And again, God bless her for what she did to raise you, such a profound and warm-hearted individual. Because what you learn, you are not sharing with the public, with the community. And your vision is absolutely right.
Yes.
From the standpoint of the days that I also recall, our neighbors were just like our family. If we did something out of line, they made comments, they even spanked us.
Absolutely.
And our parents appreciated that. It was never thought of lawsuit, why did you touch my child, and so forth. And that's why communities were together. We were inbound to move forth as family, as united. And today, of course, with all the changes, expansion that has taken place, especially in our blessed country, people have kind of moved away from those ideal standards of life.
Yes.
So I'm very glad the things that you said, Alan. It's really imperative. And you're right. Children today are looking for role models. Many of them, God blessed, they're not from a united family. They are from division families. They are from single moms today, which was different from your time, because at that time, I know women, even single parents, were more dedicated,
yes,
more committed. They were not involved in a lot of activities that are taking place today.
Right.
They were self-made in people, strong people, as your mom. Could you imagine having 12 children, make her own business, to put all of you through school, provide for you. So again, God bless her. You have written a number of books, and your books are very inspirational. And you're also starting a new TV show on KPAS. Could you name the TV show and a little bit about one of your most recent books, please?
Sure. An interesting development occurred within the last, I would say, 30 days or so. I was approached by an executive producer of one of the shows here in Pasadena who wanted to interview me on her show and found my story about life quite profound. And she asked me who influenced me, because not only am I the 8th of 12 children, not only am I a graduate of John Muir High School, I'm also an SC Trojan Law School, and I've been in business here in Pasadena since college. In fact, the year I graduated, I started my own consulting firm and ultimately got my brokers and financial. So I've been here as a business practitioner in Pasadena for years, and I have been committed to achieving my license as an attorney. And all of that stemmed from going back to my childhood, being inspired by Perry Mason's show.
Oh, okay.
And so I shared the story with her as I'm sharing with you now, and she was so moved by it. She said, Alan, would you like to revive that if possible? And Nate, you know what I said to her?
Yes.
I said no.
Really?
Yes.
I'm surprised.
Well, it's okay to be surprised, because I surprised her.
Right.
And the way I surprised her is I said, why would we revive Perry Mason? Why don't we transform Perry Mason to today's needs and standards so our children can participate and see the evolution? So I said, why don't we create a character called Tyler Perry Mason, who has 7 children, a single parent, raising 7 children, and the tough world of today with technology, with the hustle, with everything that today's family endures. Plus, he takes on high-profile cases, criminal cases, because he was inspired by Perry Mason. So that is the basic premise of the show. We are really excited about the show because it really is a dramedy. It gets into dramedy, but yet comedy, because we've got the kids, and I have 2 investigators who work in my office for the cases that I retain.
Oh, great.
And both of them are very comical, beautiful gentlemen who help to offset my kind of stern, fatherly, legal approach and my daily activities. So it's beautiful, and it's centered here in Pasadena to show Pasadena how blessed we are to have everything we have here in our community, from a wonderful access to get into court, to a wonderful PCC, to Caltech, to JPL. So we harness on all of the main institutions that we have and creating our show. We don't just kind of leave them out.
Are you going to be the writer as well?
I'm the writer. I'm one of the executive producers, and I'm also the star the main cast player in the show.
So you're going to be shooting mainly in Pasadena?
Yes.
I see. And you indicated the court system. You'll be shooting some of the segments in the courthouse?
Right. Our first episode will center around a case called Martin versus California, and it's actually reversing the Zimmerman case.
I see.
And it takes place here in Pasadena, and I am retained by the defendant to represent him. And the twists and turns of the case are so beautiful that hopefully all the viewers will enjoy it. And it's really done to really embrace Pasadena, embrace what we can do coming out of such a wonderful facility as Pasadena Media.
Now, is each episode beginning and ending on that half an hour, or is
no,
it a series?
It will be a series.
I see.
So this the first episode will be as a result of one storyline of a case.
Okay. Can you expand on the book that you brought here today at UB SOCOM briefly?
Absolutely. This is my first book that was released, and we have the subsequent years, the second and third year. This book is called New Beginnings, the First Year in Office. This book was inspired to be created, Nate, because of my pastor.
I see.
I was at church one day, and my pastor was giving a sermon on the number 8 in the Bible. And most people don't know what number 8 in the Bible means. But number 8 represents new beginning. And then he used today's events to apply it. He said, for example, our president, who had just taken office in 2009, was elected in 2008. He's the 44th president, which is 8. His birthday's in August, which is 8, which shows you that the Bible tells you that the number 8 is new beginning. And he's, of course, our first African-American president. So I heard this, and I was really, I mean, it was profound to me because I'd never really processed anything to something that I'm experiencing in life. Okay, I just kind of read it from a theoretical approach with the Bible stories. But here it is, something in life. And so after that story was given, he said at his closing, but before you can apply number 8, you must understand number 7, which in the Bible represents completion. Right. So I'm like, well, God, why did you give me this sermon today? I mean, what am I supposed to do with it? So the next thing that occurred was in June. On June 25th, 2009, Michael Jackson died. Okay. Now, Michael and I grew up in the same era. Michael's family, some of their family members are clients of mine. So I've had a chance to get to know the family through that relationship. And of course, when he passed away, growing up with the Jackson 5 and Michael Jackson and the family members, it, of course, had some impact. And I'm like, well, what is this supposed to mean? Keeping in mind, Nate, that Michael Jackson and President Obama are basically the same age. Right. Then what happened in making this process a commitment was when Michael died, which was, again, on June 25th, 2009, he was not buried immediately. And his father had come out and said, we're going to bury Michael on his birthday, which was August 29th, to commemorate his 51st birthday.
I see.
So on that date, which was a Saturday, I turned on the TV to see if his father was going to say where the events were going to take place or whatever. It didn't happen. But what did happen, Nate, which was quite profound for me, and this goes back to what I was saying about us knowing our history, was that Ted Kennedy funeral was on Michael Jackson's birthday in August. And the eulogy was given by President Obama.
That's true, and very true,
So then that just said, Alan, you take all this information and put it together. So what it told me was President Obama, which was born in '61, the same year John Kennedy was put into office. And John Kennedy started the legislation that brought about the 63 Civil Rights Bill, the 64, the 65 voting right, and then 67 actual housing, All these different legislations that started as a result of his administration, but yet he did not get the chance to see them come into reality. But his brother, Ted, was the only son of the 4 who lived out his full natural life, and he was the guardian of that legacy that his brother started. And are you ready for this, Nate?
Go ahead.
His father told his mother to abort him. And his mother said, no, I'm not going to abort him because he will be the child that carries forth our legacy.
It's amazing. In life, what's meant to be through God's blessing will be. And you made a very valid point regarding a new beginning. My philosophy has been that every day is a new beginning.
Absolutely.
If you're blessed to open your eyes first thing in the morning, it's actually you're reborn. Your day has begun, your life has begun. With that positive attitude, if you truly believe in it, if you truly understand it, just like you began to study and survey, you began to believe that the beginning of 8 means a new beginning. And that is where most people in this world should look at life. And by say, I am truly blessed I woke up today, and if you have family, a roof over your head, you're blessed again. With those ideals that you start becoming acclimated with, you start looking life in a more profound way.
Absolutely.
You're not looking for handout. You're not looking to rob someone, kill someone, because you unite with other people. The problem today is, as you indicated, coming from such a wonderful background, as I call it, really. It was hard at times, but look at the blessings of God and destiny that you were meant to have. Look at where you are today.
Yes.
Because your belief system, your mom's belief system, your pastors, all positive people, role models in your life, and now you're sharing that with the children, which is really wonderful. And that's what the children need today, to understand what life is all about. Life is not TV, movies, MTV, games, computers, and so forth. Life is really basic. Life has to start from basic. Then once we have established ourselves as a society, as a family, as a unit, then we can span together and move forward today. So I'm glad your book, The New Beginning, expands on all those things.
Yes.
And truly, you are inspiring a lot of youth through your seminars, through your books. And I know you have other books also in process of coming out.
Yes. We have as I said, the second year and the third year should be out during the holidays.
Excellent.
So we're there at the publishers now.
Excellent.
We are working on the fourth year because he's just finished his fourth year, the president. And as you can tell from really how generous our president is, and I think this would be a great acknowledgement to close on, I would love for you to read that if you can.
Should be my pleasure. Yeah, we only have a few minutes. Be my pleasure, sure, be my pleasure. The White House, Washington, November 3rd, 2009. Ms. Rena M. Shay, 11755 Pine Bluff Drive, Pasadena, California. Dear Rena, wish you the very best on your birthday. We have witnessed great milestone in our nation's history over the decades, and your life represents an important piece of the American story. As you reflect upon the wonderful memories you have made, may you also look forward to the promise in each of life's moments yet to come. We hope you are blessed with many more joyful years. Sincerely, Michelle Obama, and of course the President. That is really a wonderful tribute.
Right.
I have always not only admired, respected President Obama, but to me, he has been a gift from God, and for a purpose and a reason.
Yes.
The unfortunate thing is we still have a lot of inequities in this country, a lot of divisions. Rather than people seeing that for the first time, as I look at people as a human being. I really, to be honest with you, most people know me, I do not associate people with their color, gender, race, nationality. I look at you as a human being, as a brother sitting next to me. And here's a man that came upon this nation to bring unification. And if people saw the beginning, not the end or past, a beginning, what a wonderful society this would be. Today, we are going through so much division, not so much that they cannot work together, but because, again, they're not accepting him as a beginning.
Right, but that's why I think, too, Nate, what you've been articulating is education is so important.
Absolutely, yes.
And the reason why I think it's crucial for us to foster what we're doing is because, one, this is a historic cycle that will never happen again.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And considering that President Obama is in my age group and someone that we've crossed paths, believe it or not, when he was at college here in California, we had the opportunity to pass each other as athletes. These things are incredible moments that will never occur again.
Absolutely.
And if you look at history, you can put the dots together, and what makes it so profound is that, you know, last but not least, the president had to find his own history before he can become a man with purpose.
Absolutely. We all are on a journey in this world.
Yes.
And if we look deep within, all the answers are within us. If we believe in ourselves, trust ourselves, and believe in God, you will see actually what your destiny is all about.
Yes.
Just briefly, real fast, when you connect with your family, things become in a positive manner. I had a dream last night, true story, about my son who is in Texas, that I was stranded. I needed him to come and bring the key to a car. I called him. he told me, Dad, I'm flying to Utah for a job interview. I called him today. I said, son, I had a dream about you that you went to Utah. He said, Dad, you know what? My new job sent me to Denver. Truthfully.
Wow.
So it's amazing how we are connected with each other if you believe in it.
Right.
If you believe in it. So I'm very proud of you, Alan, for what you're doing. And I want to thank you so much for coming on the show, and I wish you all the best of luck.
Well, thank
and
you.
I want to address the audience for a few minutes before we close.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've known Alan for a number of years, and it's really a pleasure to have him as my guest. You have heard his philosophy, point of view. Just put yourself in his shoe and go back in life and imagine a single mom raising 12 children. I don't have to go any further. To survive, to provide, to love, to care, to discipline, to guide them, to make sure they stay out of trouble, it's a full-time job. You probably need 12 moms, but his mom did it. And the result is the gentleman seated to my right, who has profoundly expanded in such a professional, ethical way. And everything that he said today is genuine, is sincere. Why? Because he had a wonderful home environment, wonderful foundation. And that's what we need. If you're parents watching the show today, and if you're blessed to have children, go to them, hug them, love them, validate them, Tell them how much you appreciate them, because truly they're a blessing from God to you. And you'll be surprised when that relationship has been built, how all of you as a family can move together for a betterment of life. And again, every day is a new beginning. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I wish you all a very pleasant afternoon. And once again, thank you so much for coming. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure being on your show.
Well, you.
Yeah,
Great show.
Thank you.
I look forward to reading your new book.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.